Welcome back to the Crypto's Key conversation. In today's video, we're going to be taking a look at James K. Filan's tweet thread here in regards to the summary judgment timeline with the Ripple versus SC case. We're also going to be taking a look at John Deaton's insight and thoughts responding to James K. Filan's tweet thread. We're going to be looking at Australia. This is from Coinbase. Australia's crypto ETF market heats up with 2 more spot funds to set launch. So a total of 3 big spot Bitcoin ETFs, which is absolutely massive coming out of Australia. Also, optimism for U.S. spot Bitcoin ETF grows with the approval of Tcrium's futures fund. So this is absolutely massive, which is kind of hinting at, hey, we're growing closer to actually getting a spot Bitcoin ETF out in the United States, which would be absolutely massive for the entire space. Coinbase NFT Marketplace goes live. Can it rival OpenSea? So we're going to take a look at this CoinDesk article as well. And then this little survey, it says 3.6 million Americans to use crypto to make a purchase in 2022, research firm predicts. Then we're going to end on this. It says Bitcoin and Ethereum will break all-time highs in 2022 from Celsius CEO. So coming over here, looking at CoinGecko, we're currently sitting at a $2.02 trillion market cap, currently at 0.1% for the day. Just taking a look at Bitcoin, we're going to click in here. We're sitting at 41,546. Looking at the 24-hour period, we were fluctuating. We did dip below 41 here for a brief moment here. But if we look at the 7-day, let's kind of see what we're looking at. So we're just, in a sense, ranging. And, I'm no TA guy, but I kind of like to come take a look at kind of what's been going on within, the past few weeks, month, and so on to kind of just get a visualization of what's going on. But, obviously, we're not down today. We're above 2 trillion, which is absolutely massive. There's a lot of positivity within positive price action. You have ApeCoin sitting at 26.2, Zilliqa sitting at 11.2, and so on. Coming over here to the Bitcoin Fear and Greed Index, we're currently sitting at a 27, still in this fear range. So we were at 27 yesterday, we're at 27 today. So still a little bit of uncertainty in the market, and just not as negative as being in the extreme fear range, but that market uncertainty is still present. So coming over here, looking at James K. Filan's tweet there here in regards of the Ripple versus SC update, he goes, a summary judgment timeline. I'm seeing a lot of discussion of timing predictions for the filing of summary judgment motions and a decision on the motions. I thought I would weigh in because Judge Torres has a particular and very complicated process that must be completed before the motions for summary judgment can even be filed. The point of this thread is to help you understand that this is a longer process than you may realize. First, any party that wants to move from summary judgment has to provide the other parties an electronic copy in Microsoft Word format of its statement of material facts pursuant to local rule 56.1, which I'm just going to say local rule. A local rule statement is a short and concise statement in a number of paragraphs of the material facts as to which the moving party contends there is no genuine issue to be tried, a material fact and one that must be resolved to make a decision on the motion. The party moving from summary judgment must at the same time provide the other parties any admissible evidence cited in the Rule 56.1 statement that has not previously been produced during discovery. They only have to produce evidence that is admissible, so that would not include documents the court previously said the parties did not have to give to the other side. For example, Brad and Chris' personal financial information or the Estabrook notes. Then the party opposing the motion for summary judgment has to reproduce each entry in the moving party's Rule 56.1 statement and then write its response directly beneath it. After that, the party moving from summary judgment has to email a file on the docket for use to see a pre-motion letter to Judge Torres explaining to her the basis for its anticipated motion for summary judgment and attaching the opposing party's response to the rule statement, which will show whether and which material facts the parties agree on. Then the party opposing summary judgment has to email the Judge Torres and file on the docket a letter explaining why it's opposing the motion. After that, Judge Torres will review everything and inform the parties whether a motion for summary judgment is warranted, and if so, set a briefing schedule for the filing of the motions. Only then can the motions be filed. Now, the parties are submitting a proposed schedule this Friday, and it's technically possible that the parties will agree to waive the requirements of pre-motion letters in exchange for Rule of 56.1 statement of facts. I have to think that Ripple, Brad, and Chris would want to waive these requirements and will be pushing very hard for a faster schedule. But with the SEC delaying this case at every turn, you must really wonder if the SEC would ever agree to wavering and make this battle less coming some or faster for anyone, even for Judge Torres. And I 100% agree with that. We already know that their tactic is delay, delay, delay. They're literally backed in a corner full of lies. They don't have the truth on their side. So of course they're going to continue to find a way to delay. So I'd be very, very shocked and surprised if they didn't, or if they agreed with waiving the requirements and actually, kind of speeding up this timeline schedule. So continuing on here, he says, even if the parties agree to waive the requirements, Judge Torres has to agree to that waiver. On top of all this, remember the expert discovery has been reopened until May 13 for the Met's deposition in the filing of the Ripple's defendant's supplemental rebuttal report. Also, I expect the parties will challenge some of the other parties' experts, although I expect that to be a part of summary judgment process. The amicus briefs also have to be reviewed. The point is that all of this adds to the time, and it will take for Judge Torres to make a decision because those challenges have to be decided. All of this is very complicated and will be slower than we want, which sucks. He continues and says, I don't want you to be disappointed when the briefing schedule comes out. I don't think we will see a schedule that contemplates briefing beginning in June. I think that a more realistic timeline for summary judgment motions would be opening briefs in either July or August, and then all briefing completed by either October or November. The issue of the Hammond documents and emails is still being decided, but I think the decision on that would be made while the summary judgment motions are pending, which is why I believe the Ripple defendants have said they are prepared to go forward on summary judgment before the issue is decided. And for reference, Judge Torres recently issued a summary judgment ruling in a complicated case involving gender discrimination claims against Goldman Sachs. The briefing in that case was complicated last November, and the decision was issued in mid-March of this year. The point is this is a complicated case, and it will continue to take time, more time than we want. And he says end. So I want to thank, James K. Fallon for giving us his insight and kind of his opinion on kind of how things, may come out. Obviously, we got to wait till Friday to really see what happens. But, it is kind of disheartening to hear, I guess we kind of got to expect, we're going to expect some more delays, and it is what it is. For, a lot of us been accumulating since 2017 and before that. So it's just like, how much longer are we really going to wait? Is there really going to be the end of the world for us? I mean, it may feel like it, but it really isn't. So we're just going to have to wait till Friday and kind of see what's up. Johnny Deaton had a response that he says, I read Jimmy's thread and reviewed Judge Torres' local rules related to summary judgment scheduling. As usual, when Jimmy Fallon tweets or speaks, we should listen. Read this thread. The issue right now, as Jimmy points out, is whether the parties have to comply with her normal process. He says, this is important for our amicus brief because if they file pre-motion letters, it will provide us with a lot of information each side is relying on, evidence, exhibits, deposition, testimonies, etc. After reading those pre-motion letters, I will know what info to ask to review. If the parties ask and she agrees to waive her normal process and there are no pre-motion letters and the court sets dates, we won't get to see any information until the motions are filed. If that happens, I will have to figure out the best approach to gain access to information. Also remember, there are 16 experts in this case. That guarantees motions to exclude experts entirely or parts of their testimony. We have no idea whether expert deadlines will be before summary judgment or filed simultaneously. Bottom line, we will know more on Friday. Jimmy's thread is 100% on point. Previously, I was asked for best and worst case scenario. I said best case September and worst case late December. After more careful consideration, absent of a settlement, best case is late December. And then he put like a little sad face. So who knows what's going to be what? I guess we're just going to have to wait and see. We have to anticipate and expect more delays when it comes to this case. So continuing on here, I wanted to just bring this up. Johnny Deaton says, I encourage you to read the Grunfest letter immediately followed by the June 14, 2018 Hammond speech. I just did. Once you do, objectively speaking, it makes zero sense to give ETH a regulatory free pass but not XRP. I've tried to examine all angles. And he says, #hitjob. And to be 100% objective, it is even worse when you think of library while reading the Hammond speech. The LBC token fits Hammond's criteria for a non-security token than both ETH and XRP. I don't own any LBC, but I do own XRP and ETH. But the truth is the truth. The facts, man. So that's kind of I just wanted to bring that out, just kind of food for thought. And I highly recommend you go do the same. I did it, and yeah, I can agree 100% with him. So coming over here, talk of the town is these Bitcoin spot ETFs. So obviously the United States, we've been waiting years and years for a spot Bitcoin ETF. Obviously there's futures and stuff, but it's like now you have, Canada has their spot Bitcoin ETF. Other countries, now you have Australia coming out, not with just one, but potentially 3 spot Bitcoin ETF, which is absolutely massive. You're talking about, billions and billions of dollars, getting ready to come into the space. Now, if the U.S. gets it, man, this is going to be a mega tidal tsunami coming into the space. So it says Australia crypto ETF market heats up while 2 more spot funds to set launch. 21 shares in ETF securities will introduce Australia's first spot exchange traded products for Bitcoin and Ether next week. That's super, super bullish. Come in here and read this article from CoinDesk. I wanted to touch on this because we're kind of hinting into, there's been more talks and conversations about, hey, we may be growing closer to actually getting a spot Bitcoin ETF out in the United States. And it could happen this year, based on the talks and the articles I've been reading and kind of just the sentiment I'm getting around, especially with, I think it was Grayscale threatening to sue the SEC. Obviously, they have their GBTC when it comes to their Bitcoin, I guess, fund within their specific platform for their clients. But I guess time will tell. We'll see what's up. But it says optimism for U.S. spot Bitcoin ETF grows with approval of Ticreum's future fund. I hope I said that right. The Ticreum fund gained the SEC's nod under laws that may apply to spot ETFs. So you can come in here and read this entire article. I highly recommend it. But I wanted to touch on this. It says, but Ticreum filed its successful application under the 33 Act or the Securities Act of 1933 in the Act of 34 Act or the Securities Exchange Act of 1934 rather than the 40 Act, the Investment Company Act of 1940 that the SEC approved all previous Bitcoin future ETFs under. So it says a really positive step forward. The SEC is now not only comfortable with future-based ETFs regulated under the 40 Act and all the investment protections there, but also future-based ETF regulated under the 34 and 33 Act, the same act that these spot-based ETFs will be regulated under. So, it's just a matter of time. I mean, it seems like, as you look at this complete narrative from, Biden's executive order, executive action on the crypto space, and then you have, the conflicts with, Russia and Ukraine. Canada had, their narrative and their conflicts going on. Obviously, they have their spot Bitcoin ETF. You have, Bitcoin adoption and crypto adoption happening worldwide. More, powers that be and major corporations, the institutions, and company are seeing the worth and value within the digital asset and crypto space, which is absolutely massive. So you're seeing, the domino tiles continue to fall down. So it's just a matter of time until we get that spot Bitcoin ETF, which is literally going to catapult this entire market. Coming over here, it says Coinbase NFT Marketplace goes live. Can it rival OpenSea? The beta iteration of the exchange's marketplace is putting a social media spin on NFT trading. So obviously we, for us that's been following within the space, especially when it comes to the NFTs, and we know NFTs have been massive within the, the mainstream media. Coinbase obviously launching the beta version of theirs, and I think I can't be 100%. I think it support Ethereum-based NFT trading, so it's still over the Ethereum network, and who knows if they're going to come out and pretty much allow the, their platform to be on top of Solana and other, layer ones or other blockchains as well. But obviously right now it's currently running on Ethereum, which, I'm sure people have their negative insight on that and other people may like it, but it is what it is. It's their beta. They're getting it rolling. And I'm sure over time they're going to try to do the right thing to make themselves highly competitive, in relation to OpenSea and other, NFT marketplaces. But there are a lot of, other exchanges or other projects that are actually launching their own NFT marketplace. So it's going to be interesting to see, how Coinbase, stands up against, the rest of these platforms. Continuing on here, it says 3.6 million Americans to use crypto to make a purchase in 2022, research firm predicts. And analysts from Insider Intelligence believe crypto's transactional value will increase by 70% in 2022. So it says, quote, we also expect the more crypto options will be layered into how people pay, like cards and digital wallets. These factors should spur high crypto payment growth rates over the next few years. And I mean, I think that's easy to agree with. I mean, we can see the rate of adoption since like 2016, 2017, 2018, and up until this point. There's been so much. And look, it says right here, crypto ownership in the U.S. reaching 46 million in 2021. So it's like, it's happening. Adoption is happening. More and more people are buying into the space. And as we get that regulatory clarity within the space, and people know how to go forward in regards of how to roll out their projects and how to go about things the right way, investor protection in mind, and following the law. And this space is absolutely allowed to flourish. I mean, it's just going to literally be, like I said, a tsunami and tidal wave that's going to be coming in with a flow of people and capital within the space. So I can agree to this. I don't know how many people, I don't even think they say here, but it was saying based on the analytics they had right here. Yeah, based on the analytics they came out with, they're saying it could increase by 70% in 2022. And, I think this number may be small. I mean, we're talking 2022. Yeah, I mean, it could be relatively correct, but who knows? Spot Bitcoin ETF comes, regulatory clarity comes. I mean, this can be absolutely massive. So I'm going to end on this one. I'm going a little longer than I want. It says Bitcoin and ETH will break all-time highs in 2022 from Celsius CEO. So Celsius Network CEO Alex Mazinski shared his insights on Bitcoin and Ether markets at Paris Blockchain Week Summit. Quote, I definitely think the demand is here, so I don't see us revisiting previous lows. Quote, it's going to take us longer to hit new all-time highs, but I still expect us to break that 60,000 this year Bitcoin, break the 4,500 on Ethereum. Quote, he's basically saying, look, we don't have to be 100% DeFi, CeFi, DeFi, and two sides of the same coin. And you sometimes need to CeFi, sometimes you need to use DeFi, and that's what Celsius does every day. So regardless of what this one individual thinks, I follow a bunch of different analysts, that I highly value their insight and opinion on, technical analysis, fundamentals in the market. There's very few that actually think that, Bitcoin's in a bear market and it's just a matter of a retracement coming in. And there's a lot of them that actually think that, we are going to revisit, a new set of all-time highs in regards of, Bitcoin, and then the market's going to follow. So who knows what's going to be right? There's so many things that's so different in regards of, the rate of adoption and growth in the space, than previous cycles. So obviously we're in this so-called lengthening cycle if we do make new all-time highs. So that's completely changing the narrative that's been in the charts in the past. So all in all, who knows what's going to be what. Just gotta, like how I say, stay strong out there, stay positive, and have, some conviction behind your holdings. I know my wife and I are, and we're going to continue to accumulate when we can, and keep our heads high and stay in the space, knowing that the writing's on the wall. Bitcoin, digital assets, crypto is the future. With all that being said, stay strong out there. Be safe.